Hello, I'm Janet Kim Singh, one of the portfolio managers on the private wealth team at Capstone Asset Management, and welcome to another edition of Your Wealth Matters. As always, I'm joined by my colleague and fellow portfolio manager, Maria Dawes. And today we're going to discover some keys that will help you teach your kiddos how to budget. We're going to explore considering a performance-based allowance and how to teach discernment and delayed gratification. And we'll look at some budgeting tips for your tweens, as well as how to help your children determine goals for their savings.
Yes, and just in time for fall with kids going back to school. I don't know about you, Janet, but for us, it means new clothes since my kids are growing like weeds, new school supplies, and the start of lots of expensive extracurricular activities. So budgeting and making sure we've saved for this expensive season is top of mind for sure.
Here, here. And I think it's an opportune time to start the kids young on this topic of budgeting so that those values and skills can be instilled at a young age. Financial literacy is so underrated, and just because one is successful doesn't necessarily mean that they will have the wherewithal to deal with financial matters unless specifically learned. And so hopefully these principles are useful for the kids and maybe even a useful reminder for us adults as well.
Yeah, totally. And one more thing on that before diving in is that learning the theory behind something and observing it in the real world are two very separate things. We, including our children, learn by observing the behavior around us. And how you manage or mismanage your finances will influence those close to you, especially your kids, for better or for worse. So if you want your kids to deal with money well, you'll stand a better chance by not just teaching it, but also modeling that behavior yourself first.
That's for sure. So let's start. And full disclaimer, some of us haven't yet evolved beyond the concept of, piggy banks and chore charts. So Maria, as the resident certified financial planner and busy mom of three, give us some ideas on where to start.
Sure. So I think an allowance based on chores or achievements, whatever that look like in your home, is still very valid. However, the way kids earn money is going to be very individual to each family. My personal opinion is that kids need to contribute to the family through regular chores, but they can also learn how to earn money through their work, just like they would if they were adults. And there are ways you can help them learn this as children. Allowances are also a good idea, but make sure you have a plan here too and talk through what that looks like with your kids. And because each family and each individual child is a little bit different, how you do this might be different at different stages of your kids' development, but it's worth putting some extra thought into, I think.
Yes, okay, so I'm on the right track. And so let's say we're talking about perhaps younger children to start off, or maybe age doesn't even matter here, but the beginner budgeter, so to speak. I'd say the goal is more to teach them some discernment and delayed gratification. Discernment in terms of, okay, I'm at the dollar store with $2 and this toy that I really want is $5. So then having to make that difficult decision, can I wait until my next allowance comes in? Or sometimes a child with a limited amount has a conflict, two very compelling toys or stuffies. And so then they have to go again through that process of what do I want more? With that decision making, there is a certain level of responsibility that they're trying on for size, let's say. And in the case of not yet having enough money, they're also learning that ever important concept of delayed gratification.
Yeah, I love that. And that is a great start. They're starting to think through how far will the money go and trying to make some decisions around that. So that's good.
Maria, and so how about when they start getting a bit older or moving on to some more intermediate budgeting skills?
Yeah, so once you think your child is ready, and again, that can be different for every household or even every child, but I think the key becomes not just giving them the money to spend on toys, as we've looked at for younger children, but as the kid gets older, teaching them responsibility, assigning them certain things financially, and that they're responsible for, and breaking this into categories, just like we do as adults, putting a portion aside to give, to save, and then to spend. And these portions should each have a plan around them. I really can't stress that enough, actually, but help them keep it simple enough that they can remember and follow their plan. For example, if they're a bit older, like middle school, I have one middle schooler now, you could start assigning them the responsibility of using their allowance to buy a few essential things like their own clothes, gift for birthday parties, and of course, their own spending needs. Don't make it too complicated, but get them to start thinking about their needs and the cost of those things and help them to set up a plan around that.
That's great. And another idea I thought too is could you incentivize them to save and teach them the effects of compounding by saying, if you put this much away in a savings jar, we will add an extra dollar every month or something nominal so they can experience firsthand the joys of watching that jar get fuller. And I think that just, again, that delayed gratification is also useful value because we all know kids want one thing one day and then something else the next.
Yeah, that's the truth. And let's be honest, that lesson of delayed gratification, allowing your savings to take hold and grow, I mean, that's not just a struggle that our kids face, is it?
Yes, accountability check. Very true. Yes.
But also, just one last point on saving. I was listening to Ron Blue speak not too long ago about this, and he said that saving without a plan is just another form of hoarding. And that gave me a pause to think for a second. And I actually agree with that. A savings account needs a goal too, to help your kids. So help your kids think through that. Are they saving for a bike or an electronic item or sports gear or a future car or university, whatever that might be? But coming up with a goal will help motivate them as well. So I think the rule of thumb here is let's give every dollar a plan.
Yes, that's really powerful. Giving every dollar a plan is budgeting 101, isn't it? Well, I hope this has given some ideas on how to involve the family in money matters. Our children see and watch our spending habits, but having them put into practice, and yes, even making some bad choices along the way is invaluable. So thank you, Maria, for sharing your insights with us. And we always want to hear your thoughts and questions. So please help us to make these segments more meaningful to you. Thank you for joining us on another edition of Your Wealth Matters.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.